Hey everyone, this is Roger from Almost in Full Color, and today we're going to review Kena Bridge of Spirits, which is the first debut game from Ember Labs that's available for PS4, PS5, and Windows currently at a cost of $40 for the regular game. As I mentioned, this is their debut game, and you may have seen some of their short films on YouTube. One of my personal favorites was the Majora Mask in 2016, which the link below to that. So they've been around in digital animation for a while, but they finally dove into games in this first one, so let's see how this first debut game worked for Ember Lab. The story here is about a young spirit guide, Kena, who is using her magical abilities to help deceased people move from the physical world into the spirit world. These spirits are still alive in the real world because they had something that they felt unfinished or was traumatized by a certain event. So Kena's goal here is to find them and help them out to cross over to the spirit world. Overall, I did enjoy this storyline for this world. You felt really part of it, and it made sense. I know it kind of sounded a little weird, but once you start playing the game, everything went together. So the story was amazing to me for this. The only complaint I had with the story was Kena's background. Throughout the story, you get some hints about it, but I kind of wanted to learn her backstory. There's a lot of stuff that you don't get to learn about, and then there's some key hints that you see that you kind of want to know what really happened there. So that was the only major complaint there, but the stories of all the other spirits, Toro will be the main one I'll talk about since that's early in the game. I don't want to spoil too much, but like doing his story with the spirit, you learn a lot and you feel very attached. So I do like how they do that. But hopefully the Kena story, maybe they'll do DLC or another game to help explain that. And the story was really moved by the cutscenes. Again, a digital animation studio. So what you expect is the story to be really good and them cutscenes really shine throughout this game. This leads me to talk about the voice acting in the game. Again, this studio did really well. All the characters, I enjoyed their voices. They fit well and made the story more believable to me. The music was really good as well. It went through the different environments you have in this world, and it fit all the scenarios, and the music would pick up during fights, and I felt that it worked really well with the game, along with the background sound effects that was happening as well. Graphics, this was the big draw to me when I first saw this game at E3. I really like this quote-unquote Pixar look. You see that here throughout. This game looks around that genre with the detail, but this is what really drove me to want the game, and it really stood out here. All the villains looked pretty good. Again, the cutscenes were amazing with these graphics, so I enjoyed the look and the environment of this. All the environments were detailed, and I felt they were all unique without reusing assets too much. Of course, some of the villains would be reused, but overall, I felt that they did a really good job setting up this environment. And it's hard not to talk about the biggest draw of the game. I felt like when it was first shown in trailers, the rot detail on here made the game. These were these little creatures that had big eyes and very expressive, so that made the game, and that's another standout that really helped the game in the graphics department. Obviously you can get custom hats for these rot as well, and to help show off the graphics, they do have a photo mode, so you can actually play around and just look how good the game looks, and it is really amazing how it does look. So I cannot describe how good the graphics were anymore. You can tell I really liked them. Gameplay here is an action-adventure game. You can see it was inspired by Zelda. It has simple upgrades to help make your weapons more powerful, and then have these rot power moves you could do, like the rot hammer and the rot bow, which are really powerful and good to use, and it was really enjoyable to use these powerful moves, especially on the bosses. Most of the combat controls here were the shoulder buttons. I played on the PS5, and it really worked well. At first, I thought it was going to be a little difficult or not as smooth, but you held a combination of buttons to switch between melee to bow to your bombs. And I thought that worked really well, along with your shield. The main issue I had with probably the controls, which I think is just a PS5 issue, is the adaptive trigger. That was the thing to shoot the bow as well as to do melee, but as soon as I set up to shoot the bow, I felt like I'd squeeze the trigger, but it didn't squeeze all the way, and I would kind of get kicked out of the bow because I let go of the button suit. So I felt that was the real problem here. I didn't feel like the controls are there, but overall, the jumping and platforming, there is a lot of platforming in this game. That felt really smooth. I didn't have many cases where I felt like something didn't work. I think I remember 2 times where I hit jump and I felt like it didn't register right, but I will leave it to user error because it didn't happen to me all the time. I felt like everything was really smooth, so I do give high praises to the controls. Parry was a hard thing to do. So you have a shield bubble, and if you hit it at the right time, you can parry the attack to stun the enemy and leave an opening to do that. I felt that was really hard to time. You would kind of get hints, but you had to time it perfect. And I know some of the patch release notes have been lightening up on that. They try to make it easier. I guess it was hard for everybody, so I don't know if this is something that's going to improve. But to do that period block to open up was really hard. Like I felt accomplished when I was able to get it like twice in a row. And speaking of difficult, this game difficulty shocked me. I would not say it's like Dark Souls hard, but from the look of the game, I was not expecting the level of difficulty I got. I still remember getting hit by the first bad guy, and I was like, oh crap, a quarter of my life is like gone already, and it just shocked me really much. So be prepared that this game is not easy at all. I was playing on normal difficulty. They do have a story mode difficulty if the game is too hard. And this is one of the games, if you did find the normal was not fun to you, I would still recommend playing this for the story mode difficult, because story was really good. But don't expect this to be an easy game from the look of it. Obviously you see the rock characters, you're like, oh, this game is going to be a breeze. No, it's going to be difficult. But I would say the difficulty was not overly frustrating. Each boss I had to fight multiple times. It was on average twice, because you had to learn the patterns. And like I said, some bosses will even take half of your health, so you didn't have too much wiggle room to try to fight through learning these new patterns. But I felt like all of them were able to be defeated, so I didn't feel like the game was overly hard where like I was going to struggle. I had a couple bosses that did take me a while, but I did feel there was a way I could proceed every time, so that's why I said it wasn't really Dark Souls difficult. The last thing I really want to talk about is the pacing of the game. For $40, you are getting an 8 to 10 hour game, which is at the cost of most $60 games of this action-adventure genre. But overall, the pacing was really well. In the world, you are split up into different environments that are basically works as different levels or chapters of the game. But the first world or section I was in this world took about half the time. I felt like it took me 4 hours. You're learning the game, and the section was pretty big. But after that, each section got progressively faster. I felt like they were smaller environments, and they were trying to get you through the story more. You kind of learned the game and figured out what was going on so they could speed up, and that's the game did that. And I actually really liked that. I didn't feel like I was going to another section of, oh, I have another 4 hours to do. So I didn't feel like I was doing repetitive stuff in each section. You were getting a new item to traverse this new section, but it felt very fast. It didn't like go back to try to recap things or do very similar things. I always felt like it was a new experience. And I wanted to point that out because I felt it did work really well. This was unique to me. Usually in these games, it felt like each chapter or something would be about the same time. But no, this one sped up, and it was like, okay, you know what to do now. You can continue. So that was a big shock to me. I never really played many games that did that. And of course, you can make the game slower because there's a lot of collectibles. You can collect all the rot hats, open all the chests. There's a lot to do in here, so you can slow it down if you're big into the collectibles, but it didn't feel like a burden to do that. I felt like I got a decent chunk of the collectibles just running through and kind of checking the off paths that were away from the goal. Some of them you do have to backtrack once you get other items, but overall, I did enjoy the pace of the game. So, The rating I would give this game is a 9.5. I really enjoyed this game. It was a game I was looking forward to ever since they announced the PS5, and this was one of the indie games they had on display. And I felt for $40, this was amazing. Like, I recommend buying this. If it goes on discount, that would even make it more great. As I hinted before, this game is for people that like Zelda, and it has a hint of Dark Souls on it for the difficulty. So a more difficult Zelda would be a great way to place it. And obviously they made the Majora's Mask, so you could tell they were influenced by Zelda. I will just caution, this isn't a kid's game from the look of it, so I didn't play the story mode. Maybe that does help balance it, but don't get fooled by getting the rot and thinking this is going to be just a breeze to go. The only complaint is really basically the Kenya background story. I wish I had more. I wanted to know more about the character I was playing as. There were slight control issues, but I do believe the adaptive trigger was mostly my problem personally. So I didn't give too much on that, but I really felt like they could have grown the main character to make this a perfect game. Maybe they have plans down the future, like I said, but that would be the only reason I could not give it a 10. I really wanted to know more. I do feel that there is a lot of replay value, which is good here, but it doesn't really force it much. Once you beat the game, that is kind of it. So it's only for the people that want all the collectibles. They do give you opportunity to do that. So that's there, but it's not really a driving thing. So hopefully you feel to do it, because I really want to go back and collect all the rot at least. I don't know if I'll do all the chests. But yeah, there's my review of Kenya. It is a wonderful game. Ember Lab, you did a great debut game. I really hope to see more games from this studio if they keep up with this storytelling. That was a big plus for this, and controls are really good. So thanks for making this game, and I hope you enjoyed this review. Make sure to leave a comment what you think of the game. Peace.